Kelly Williams here, exercise physiologist, founder of Entirelyfit, and holistic wellness coach with the International Association of Wellness Professionals. I help men who are tired of being out of shape and overweight with a plan to look and feel their best. Now, my last video was part one of food mindset, and I addressed why we eat what we eat and why our food choices are really the biggest factor to consider in weight loss. And it's really less about motivation, exercise, or metabolism. And in this video, I'm going to address 4 things to do to help change your food mindset, especially as it pertains to health and weight loss. Now, in this video also, when I refer to dieting or a diet, I mean following a specific eating plan or a low-calorie plan and calorie counting. Now, dieting has been shown to typically be too restrictive, and people eventually get tired of not losing weight fast enough, and over time they gradually slip back into old habits. When it comes to food, there are so many behavioral factors that go into what and why we eat. What we eat and drink and how often, what we snack on, what we eat some of the time, like when we tailgate with our friends or meet friends for dinner. How we reward ourselves with food, our emotions related to the food we eat, and how we feel if we give something up. What happens when we binge eat, our sugar intake, how often we eat out. All of these things play into the big picture of food and our food relationship, and to the total amount of calories that we consume over time. It is our behavioral relationship to food and our food mindset that will eventually or ultimately have the most impact on what we eat, how much, and how often. Have you ever heard of the term mindful eating? Well, mindful eating is practicing awareness around what and when we eat, being aware of food choices, the amount, the environment, taking a moment to be grateful and being present in the moment when eating. Mindful eating also is related to listening to our bodies. We're constantly bombarded with advertising around food. And in addition to the countless choices that we already have, food manufacturers are adding new ones daily. Just turn on the TV. Before we had so many choices, people used to be more in tune with their bodies. They were not so consumed by what to eat, and they listened to their bodies around food. Their primary issue was really getting food. For example, are you really hungry when you go for something to eat? Or are you bored? Or are you thirsty? Or maybe you're stressed or nervous about something. There are many reasons why we eat certain things. Many times food choices are related to emotions and experiences. Sometimes we have guilt around our food choices. We eat when we're sad, happy, mad, anxious, and stressed. We celebrate everything with food. Job promotions, birthdays, anniversaries, get-togethers with our friends, weekends, holidays, tough weeks, great weeks, family reunions, and vacations, just to name a few. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just what we do, and all of this is something that needs to be acknowledged if we're trying to evaluate our behaviors around food. Some people feel deprived if they remove a certain food or food group or many foods from their routine in a diet. Our relationship with food is relative to our circumstances, though. To show this, just pick your favorite food, or several foods for that matter. One you don't think you could live without. And maybe there are a lot of those. And let's put this into perspective. Now that you have this favorite food in your head, think of all the people that lived 200 years or more before us. Or think about people that live in other countries that just don't have access to the food we have or the choices that we have. Both of these groups did just fine or are doing just fine without the food that we can't live without. So it is relative. You know, we sabotage ourselves sometimes, whether it's conscious or subconscious. We buy foods at the grocery store when we're hungry, and then we take them home, and then these foods become triggers. Other people sabotage our efforts, and sometimes it's on purpose and sometimes it's not. Many times we don't put a lot of thought into what we eat, and then we end up eating whatever we want at that moment. I believe it was Ben Franklin that said, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. Our body image and how we feel about our body is very important. How do we feel about our body? Have you ever thought about it? How do you feel and how do you identify with your body? I've met guys before and their identity is being the big guy. And if they lose weight, then they no longer have that identity, and that could pose a problem for them. Our mindset is important. Do we think we can be healthy? Do we think we deserve to be healthy? Are we focused on weight loss or on health? What is our exercise and recreation like? What would we do if we had all the energy that we wanted? Think about all of our food choices, all of our choices at restaurants and grocery stores. Many people have gotten so far away from eating nutritionally sound foods, and primarily because of the number of choices we have, the marketing messages, confusion, and convenience, that in some cases they're not even eating real food. And for sure they lack nutrients, and over time their health will decline, whether they know it or not. Food manufacturers study taste, texture, smell, and they know how to make foods that we can practically get addicted to. These same areas in our brains that are activated with drug addiction are also activated with food. It really can become very difficult to change certain food behaviors. So what do we do? Well, I've identified 4 things to begin practicing that will help develop a more healthy mindset around food. Begin practicing. This is number 1. Begin practicing taking on the mindset of a healthy person. And that sounds easy, but it's not. And it is a little hard to do, but that's why we practice it. Start thinking of yourself as a healthy person. Health is the state of being that is related to having physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being. And a healthy person is someone that is intentional about their choices around their health. And notice I didn't say a thin person, because being thin does not equate to being healthy. Sometimes I think of Jack LaLanne when I think about, real fitness. And some refer to him as the father of fitness. When he was a young man, he was thin, sickly, and had low energy. He began studying nutrition and he cut out sugar and highly refined foods and began a diet that was primarily, it was whole foods, primarily fish, fruits, vegetables, grains, and he began exercising regularly. He turned his life around. He became more confident and he became one of the most famous fitness leaders in the country. Number 2, change our focus from weight loss to a focus on health. Now think about it. Change from focus from weight loss to health. And health is a big motivator, or lack of health is a big motivator. Not weight loss though. I chose to begin eating healthier years ago because the men in my family have heart attacks and diabetes, and I wanted to avoid those. When our goal is weight loss, we tend to feel deprived when we give up things, and that makes a negative connotation. By imagining ourselves as a healthy person and looking at our food choices from that viewpoint, though, eating healthy becomes just the opposite of deprivation. Eating healthy promotes health, and it allows us to feel better and do all of the things you wish for. And it becomes a journey and a lifestyle with no end in sight, just more energy and vitality. This is number 3. I recommend following a 90-10 rule. And that just means 90% of the time I eat healthy. And 10% of the time I have some flexibility. Realize that when it comes to food, there is no bad food. And what I mean there is not bad in the sense that one should feel guilty when eating them. Really, food should not be categorized as good or bad, but maybe more like foods that promote health or don't promote health. Having a healthy mindset related to food keeps one from feeling guilty. Nothing is really off limits. You just put some checks and balances in place. Most healthy people don't eat healthy all the time. Most of the time, though, they choose foods that promote health. They're intentional about their food choices. They have a specific reason why they eat healthy. When healthy people and people with a healthy food mindset eat foods, though, that don't promote health, they just acknowledge it and they move on. They don't feel guilty. And that's part of this healthy mindset aspect. Number 4, practice being more mindful at mealtime. Consider the food you're eating, where it came from, what it took to get it to your table, the smell, the taste, the texture, and be thankful. Connecting mentally, spiritually, and physically with your food on a journey to better health is really the key. In addition to practicing changing your food mindset, I've got a few more things for you to consider that I think might help. Now, maybe pick one day and plan your meals for the entire week. When you do this, choose a variety of foods that promote nutrition, including several servings of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, lean meats, fish, and nuts. If you're not already, start exercising at least 5 days per week. This complements your food choices, and it's another positive health behavior that contributes to weight loss and really has so many other health benefits. Slow down when you eat and chew your food thoroughly and allow your body to realize that you've eaten. Consider the foods that you eat and how they make you feel. Enjoy the food, the texture, the smell, and the flavor. Be aware of your emotions around your meals, what you eat, and the amounts. Think about how you feel the next day. Are you sluggish or do you feel energetic? Practice eating smaller amounts at one time. Maybe eat on a smaller plate. Do you know most restaurant entrees are enough for 2 people? Get into a pattern of sleep that allows 7 to 9 hours. Now, I hope these tips help with developing a more healthy food mindset. Take your time and be patient with this. And if you want to learn more about a plan to lose weight and change your behaviors associated with the foods and beverages that you eat and drink, let me know. I can probably help you. You can find me on Facebook at Entirelyfit, and that's just like it sounds, Entirelyfit, or on my website at Entirelyfit.com. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. And until next time, be well, be grateful, and keep trying to be entirely fit. See you later. Bye-bye.